Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Terry, as many of you know, and all you grandkids who are watching. I hadn't planned to do any baking this morning, but we ended up, as you can see from this little inserted clip, that we had a bit of snow last night, which was kind of a surprise. And yesterday I had gotten out a bit, even though it was kind of cool, and I had planted some radishes, and it's a good thing, as you can see, I put a little cover over top of them because of the snow. But hopefully the radishes will come up in the next week or two, and in a few more weeks we'll be eating some radishes. But anyway, today, let's get started. I decided to make sour cream coffee cake. Now this sour cream coffee cake recipe originally came from my grandfather. That would be you guys's, the grandchildren's, great-grandfather. And I had misplaced that recipe a couple of years ago, and I've been using the one out of Jean Perret's cookbook, Company Coming, that's cakes, that I thought was the same. And I thought maybe he got that recipe from her. But in actual fact, I decided today to really search for that recipe from my Grandpa Smith. And I found it on this poor beat up piece of paper and compared the two recipes, and it's a bit different. Where he calls for half a cup of the softened butter or margarine, she calls for 1 cup, which is quite a bit different actually. And she calls for more flour, he calls for less. So I am actually, after I had actually printed it all out, now I've gone through and changed all the amounts of the ingredients to go back to the original recipe from my grandfather, who probably gave me this recipe in the 80s, because he passed away in the late 80s or early 90s. And in actual fact, Jean Perret actually published this cookbook in 1990. So he had given me that recipe before she actually ever published. So we're going to get busy, and we're going to start off. We're going to cream half a cup of the softened margarine. We're going to add 1 cup of the white sugar, 2 eggs, and then we're going to beat that together, and then we're going to stir in 1 cup of sour cream and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm going to get busy and do that. Okay, here we go. We've got the half a cup of softened margarine, and we're going to just cream that a little bit, and then we're going to add 1 cup of white sugar. Now to that, we're going to add 2 eggs that I took out a little while ago that are at room temperature. All right, before I add the 1 cup of sour cream, which is the reason I was making this, because I had some sour cream I wanted to use up, and there's exactly 1 cup left. So before I stir that into this cream mixture, along with the vanilla, I'm going to do up the dry ingredients so I have them ready to add. So, sifting these dry ingredients, because you know I like to sift them, we've got 1 3/4 cups of flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And we're just going to sift that. There we go. And I'm also, before I do any more of the mixing of these wet ingredients, I'm going to mix up the topping, which consists of brown sugar, cinnamon, and chopped walnuts. And we'll get busy doing that so everything's ready to put together. A little side note here, this topping I have on Grandpa Smith's original recipe that I had put that 1.5 times is better for the topping, having a little bit more topping. So it's considerably different than Jean Perret's recipe in that he calls for 1/4 cup of the packed brown sugar. So that's 1/4 cup. And 1.5 times would be 1/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons, because 1/4 cup is 4 tablespoons, 16 tablespoons in a cup. Quarter of a cup is 4 tablespoons. And then I will put in 2 extra tablespoons to make it 1.5 times the amount. It calls for 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to put in 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon. And it calls for 3 teaspoons of the chopped walnuts, which isn't very many. So I'll put in 4.5 teaspoons. So what is that? There's 3 tablespoons, 3 teaspoons and a tablespoon. So I will put 1.5. I'll put 1 tablespoon and 1.5 teaspoons in. Might be faster for me to measure. So I'll be busy doing that. It's about good for those walnuts. Now we'll just measure them. Wow, that's kind of a difference in the topping. Jean Perret calls for 3/4 of a cup of chopped walnuts, and Grandpa's is 3 teaspoons. So that's okay. It was kind of crumbly all the time. I'm supposed to be just a light brown sugar, cinnamon, and walnuts in the middle. So we'll do it Grandpa's way and see how we like it. Seems to me it was always delicious. Of course, both of them were, but just a little bit different. I always found hers just a little bit oily, and that's probably because it calls for twice as much margarine. So we'll see. Okay, just about ready to go. All the recipes call for a lightly greased pan, so I'm going to use this canola oil cooking spray from Costco. Just lightly do that. That's it. Okay, that's done, and now we're going to start mixing everything together. All right, now that everything's ready to be put together, now I'm going to turn on the oven, because you know me, I hate wasting electricity. That oven would have been preheated already a while ago, and so now I'm going to turn it on because I'm ready to put all this together and get it into the oven. So I'm going to do that. It goes in at 350 for 50 to 60 minutes. So I'm going to turn the oven on to the 350, and then we'll be back and start adding these ingredients to this wet batter. 1 teaspoon, yes. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, Mexican vanilla. Good thing I got lots a couple of years ago when we were down, because you know, right now, today, we're supposed to be in Cabo San Lucas for 3 weeks. But with COVID, Alaska Airlines canceled our flight. So we're here with snow. What can I say? Okay, 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 1 cup of the sour cream. Okay, and clean out that, and then I will lightly just fold that all together. That. All right, now I'm going to fold in the dry ingredients. Just lightly folding till it's just all moistened. Now that it's all lightly mixed, I'm going to try to put a dividing line there, and I'm going to plop about half of this batter into the bottom of this pan. And then I'm going to use a spoon and lightly spread it around to the edges. Make it all nice and level. And then I'm going to try to take, well, not try to, I'm going to try to put a line and take half of this topping and sprinkle it all over this bottom layer. Now we're going to move on to putting the next layer on. And we're going to try to put those blobs in a little bit smaller piles so it's a little bit more even, so as not to pull up the topping that we've just sprinkled all over the bottom layer. Have a little bit of patience with this, which I know you guys will. Okay, I'll just work at that and I'll show you when I get it all in and start to spread it around. Just have to try to spread it really gently so as you don't pull up the topping off that bottom layer. I'm getting there. Got to be gentle. Slowly. Not to deter you guys from trying it. Just have a little bit of patience and have to go slow. Or you can come over to Grandma's and we'll make it together. That would be good. Tomorrow I better get busy and make Grandpa some more cookies. Apparently looked in the freezer and there's hardly any left. I gave them all away at Valentine's. So, tomorrow, even though some of you guys don't like raisins and chocolate chips, Grandpa wants raisins and chocolate chips and walnuts, sorry. You guys don't like walnuts and raisins. So he would like those in his cookies tomorrow.
Raisins and walnuts.
You what? Sorry, honey, what?
Raisins and walnuts.
Raisins and walnuts. And chocolate chips. No. No chocolate chips. Well, I guess you guys won't want anything. I guess. We'll negotiate the chocolate chips when I get busy and bake them tomorrow. All right, the oven is dinged at 350 and I'm just going to sprinkle the other half of this topping, which is the cinnamon, the chopped walnuts, and the brown sugar on here. And then we're going to pop it in the oven. And we'll show you when it comes out. There we go. All ready to go in. See you in an hour when it's done. All right. It's all done. Lovely. I've inserted a toothpick. It's all coming out clean. So we're just going to let that cool for a while. And then we're going to cut into it and have a taste test and see what it tastes like. I'm sure it'll be delicious. You know, when I got this recipe, oops, timer just went. I'm going to turn that off. Yes, sirree. When I first got this recipe, my mother and my aunt couldn't believe that their father gave me this recipe. I guess he never baked or cooked anything when they were kids growing up, but he most certainly made it and gave me the recipe, so I was very thankful for that. So we'll let it cool and we'll have a taste test when it's ready. All right, this is just about cooled enough, but you know, Grandpa's a little bit impatient. He says he can smell it and he would really like a piece. So we're gonna cut into this, like this. Down the middle. I usually do them It's a 9-inch square pan. This one. You can do it in 8-inch, but no, 9-inch works better. And I do it in the squares like this. I do 4 this way, down the middle, quarters, and the same this way in quarters. So it makes 16 pieces. All right, that's that. And now what? The moment of truth. Okay, now I'm just gonna go like this. Anxious, are you, to get a piece? Ha! Lovely. Just lovely. Wow. How does that look with the layers in there? Nice. Okay, that's it. We're all done. It's nice and warm, and Grandpa's standing here waiting for the piece. And I will pass it to him in just a minute. Okay, all done. I'm gonna sign off, say goodbye. Hope you guys all enjoyed watching me make this sour cream coffee cake that was a recipe from my grandfather. And Alan and I are gonna sit down with a cup of tea and enjoy this. And you guys, I'm gonna say goodbye. You take care and stay safe. Bye-bye. Delicious. You guys are gonna have to stop over and try a piece, okay? Love you. Bye.